Hello and welcome to another Walden Bros podcast. We got I guess you could call it fun, fun one today. We're going to talk about the new cast of the Zelda movie. Going to talk about the new Donkey Kong game, and we're going to talk about Jeffrey Epstein because that has been the talk of the town. There's been a lot developments there, so I'm sure we'll get into it. So stay tuned. But first. So Legend of Zelda movie, if you're not aware, they're making a live-action adaptation, and they just announced who the actors are going to be. And the actors are for Link and Zelda are a pair, Bo and Benjamin are their first names. But I think that the who they are is less interesting than the what they're not, which is it's not Chris Pratt. It's not Tom Holland. It's, no one you've probably never heard of. Maybe you recognize them from some TV show they were in, but these are not, A-list actors. And then the other shocking thing was their ages. So Benjamin, who's playing Link, is 16 years old. So they're really leaning into like the childness of Link as a character. Zelda is 21. Not quite as young, but still, not adults here. So that says, I think, some interesting things about the direction they're taking this, and how it's going to be different than the Mario movie. But what are your thoughts?
I agree that I think the story here is that they are unknown actors, I think that one of the things that maybe is communicated by this is that maybe they think that with the Mario movie, they thought that this concept needed people to buy into it really quickly because there's a past with the old Mario movie and they needed names to make it seem like that they're taking it really seriously. And that movie did really, really well. And maybe they don't feel like they need that for Zelda, which is a property that they've never tried before. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm actually I was excited to learn that they went with relatively unknown actors, because what that tells me, or my assumption is that they were just really good for the role. So it's not about getting name ID, it's about, you did a tryout, who embodies that character the best. And it also tells me they're kind of more willing to take a risk here. And that, I think, bodes well for the filmmaking process. I think that Wes Ball, who's the director, this is kind of a dream project of his. He's been pining to make a Zelda movie for over a decade, which is probably part of the reason they chose him. And so it seems like they're just kind of letting him do his vision, which I'm all for. I would much rather have that than, Miyamoto getting obviously, you want some involvement from the Nintendo guys, but given how they did the Mario movie, which I liked the Mario movie well enough, but I would have been very disappointed if Zelda had been anything similar to that. Because it's a series with a little bit more gravitas, right? No kart racing in Zelda, and so I'm optimistic. Actually, this is I think that was very cool.
Yeah, I understand that there was some amount of controversy around this idea that maybe Hunter Schafer could have been Zelda. I think that she would have made a really good Zelda based on the images, at least in terms of appearance. But I mean, if we're gonna go completely with no-name actors, I don't think this is necessarily a bad thing.
Yeah. So I guess we'll just have to stay tuned to see if there's any more further developments. And further Nintendo news, Donkey Kong Bonanza is getting rave reviews. I think IGN gave it a 10 out of 10. So it seems like, based on all the hoopla, that it's going to be basically what Odyssey fans wanted it to be. It was a huge, epic Disney, or let's say Disney, Nintendo platformer, and I believe that you're probably going to get it as soon as you can. Is that right?
Yes, Mario Odyssey was my favorite game on the Switch. I wanted that. They announced Donkey Kong, which is something to keep like a little bit of context here, is that I have not played the old Donkey. I was not playing Donkey Kong Country on the Nintendo Entertainment, or not
Super
Nintendo, the Super Nintendo. I've never really even gotten into or gotten any of the previous Donkey Kong games, so I was a little bit suspicious. But at the same time, I wanted that type of game, which is a game that is you can sink yourself into, that you can play for a long time, that you're making progression on. Mario Kart isn't that. Mario Kart, which is the big tentpole release when the Switch came out, is good, but it doesn't feel like a game that I can spend a whole afternoon, a whole day, like, advancing in. It's a great party game. But this game is kind of not just Mario Odyssey, but it's the Zelda type game. It's the game that is from Nintendo that allows you to like experience a story, a Nintendo kind of game. And I'm really chuffed that it's getting great reviews. It comes out tomorrow. This is getting uploaded on the 16th, I imagine, so looking forward to hopefully grabbing a copy of that.
Yeah, it's funny because I did grow up with Donkey Kong Country on the Super Nintendo. My friend had it, and we would code over at his house and play that game for hours. And I have a lot of fond memories with it. And I am not that excited for Donkey Kong Land. Probably not going to get it. But I'm a weirdo who doesn't love 3D Mario. You know, there's dozens of us. It's just, I don't know. I've been playing Crash Bandicoot. The new Crash Bandicoot came out in like 2020, I think. I've been really enjoying that. I think I'm more, when it comes to platformers, I like level-based games. I want linear, level 1, level 2, you know, get to the end. Congrats. Like, I always had more fun with 2D Mario than 3D Mario for a lot that reason. And they kind of just open-ended kind of thing. It's, you know, of all the things I want to be doing in an open-world space, platforming just isn't it. It's not what I want to do. So that's, you know, neither here nor there, but I likely won't be playing Donkey Kong anytime soon. But I'm very glad for everyone who, you know, for 99% of Nintendo fans, who I'm sure is going to be ecstatic to play this and probably going to have a lot of fun. Fully indestructible environments is a cool gimmick. Certainly a much better gimmick than, like, say, cat costumes, which some past games may have leaned into. But all right, fun discussion over. Let's get right into the juicy details of the Epstein saga, and it's just to, you know, in case you've been living under a rock, the Trump administration had come out kind of officially and said that Jeffrey Epstein did in fact kill himself, not a conspiracy. There are no Epstein files. And then it went on to say that actually the Epstein files is a conspiracy created by the Democrats. You see, Obama created the Epstein list in order to impugn Donald Trump's character. And obviously, if you had been paying attention just a couple weeks ago, the Trump administration was talking about how they were going to release it any moment. They had it on their desk, and oh man, like the Democrats were going to be shaking in their boots for what is going to get released. And so the 180, the whiplash, has been so dramatic that even MAGA world can't pretend that nothing's happening here. So you have people like Candace Owens and Alex Jones and people from the Daily Wire. They're all criticizing Donald Trump, which is doesn't happen all the time. That you get that many voices all at once, kind of criticizing him for this, because this is a big deal in that world. Probably a big deal for most people who want to see people be brought to justice, but it's just been completely crazy, and the Trump's posture is so defensive about this, and he gets so bothered whenever someone asks about it that it just screams that, like, I mean, I don't even know. It's there's like two scenarios here. One is that there's some incriminating stuff about Trump, which is not that hard to believe, because Trump and Epstein have been buddies for years. And it's like well documented too. Like, they're on video hanging out together, being chummy, and he like has nice things to say about him in interviews and stuff. And Jeffrey Epstein said Donald Trump is my best friend. So, in fact, Epstein introduced Trump to his wife. So Melania, and then he bragged about the fact that the first time Trump had relations with Melania was on Epstein's plane. So that's just that's how tight they were. So the idea that there could be something there is not at all outlandish. But the other possibility is that there is no client list. It was all just a made-up conspiracy. In which case, the fact that the Trump folks said that it wasn't a conspiracy was true the whole time, only to back 80 on that, means that they were obviously lying and kind of taking this advantage of the fact that, like, these abuse victims for political points, basically. So there's no good version of this. There's not a happy ending here, at least for Trump. But yeah, it's just been so incredible to watch, and all the reactions. And yeah, actually, I've been talking a while. I'll kind of leave that there. What are your thoughts?
So the thing that comes to mind is that there was a quote from Trump during the election cycle where there was an interview and they were asking, like, what kind of files are you going to release when you're president? And they were saying things like the Kennedy session and stuff like that. And then they ended with the Epstein client list, the Epstein. And I thought that what he said during that interview, this was during the election, was very interesting. He said, oh yes, I'm going to release them. Well, maybe not the Epstein list. There's a lot of false information. That could be, so if we can, sort the false information, then we'll submit it. In any case, I think it's funny now that they've decided that milking their attack against Epstein and whatever establishment that represents, they've decided that it is no longer, it's reached the point where it isn't going to give them anything that more than they might lose or that they risk, I guess. So that was funny. But also it's been funny seeing the conservative meltdown. Trump has his social media website, Truth Social, and this is a rare instance of the comments on that post where he says, you need to stop doing that. You're done. You're not. The comments there's more of those than likes.
He got ratio
on his program. Yeah. So, I mean, this is definitely a big thing that's happening right now. Now, the thing is that Trump, this is not even the first year of his election, and things, we move on from things. That's just how it goes nowadays. So I don't know what
this will be different
impact this will have.
Or do you think this is just another Trump scandal? There's been a million and a half of them, and it tends to be that there's some scandal, everyone gets outraged for a week, then he does something else that's outrageous, everyone forgets about the other things, that happened, and just move on to the next, basically over and over, including with Epstein. Like, all these revelations, that interview you mentioned, the fact that he was like friends with Epstein, that's been known, and that had their little 7-day kind of news cycle. But this feels different to me, because it really is just because of the right-wing backlash. I've never seen it like this before, where it's all in unison, all at once, and it's dominated the news for like, I mean, like, we've been talking about this. We talked about this before when Musk was accusing him of not releasing it on X, right? Like, this has been a story for a lot longer than a lot of other Trump scandals, which do tend to seem to just be wisp away in the wind. I don't think this is necessarily going to be the end of him, but I do think that this is like done permanent damage, where for a lot of people in his base, they're going to, the next time he says something that just like kind of stretches credulity, maybe they're a little bit more skeptical than they were, because they're like, well, he did lie about this, even though he's been lying the whole time. And that's supposedly was one of the benefits that he tells like it is, but that's neither here nor there. Obviously, his base has been remarkably resilient to any kind of going away from him, so I don't know, but like, I could see this one having legs, because conspiracies, they last a long time. I mean, how long have we, was Hunter's Biden's laptop a thing? How long was Benghazi a thing? And part of it is going to be that the Dems need to just not let this die either. They need to keep on talking about it. And I was really happy to see that Ro Khanna, a Democrat, put out a bill to Congress just saying, like, this bill authorizes us to release all the Epstein files, and all the Republicans had to vote against it. So they're on the record voting against. And then some of them had the gall to then pretend as if they were in favor of releasing it after they voted it down. But like, those kind of things, I think it should just be nonstop. Like, this should be the Democrat Benghazi, and this is so much more legit than the Benghazi thing. Like, there's so much more real smoke here. So like, if we let ourselves get swept up, it's the kind of thing where, like, it's not that you should only talk about this, but the next time Trump lies about something, you should just connect it, right? Like, oh, here he goes again. Remember the Epstein stuff? Here he goes again, right? Like, you should keep it in the public consciousness for as long as possible. I think that's because it's broken through in a way that other things haven't.
I think I am a little bit more pessimistic about the longevity of this. I feel like Trump has done outrageous lies, and I think that his greatest skill, even from the very beginning, was his ability to control the narrative. And I haven't seen anything from Democrats to give me hope that they can re-seize control of the news. They just consistently disappoint in terms of the ability to get a message out that people keep thinking about or keep talking about. Whereas whatever Trump says, people talk about whatever he's saying whenever he wants them to talk about it. And that's just what we've seen over and over. And I don't feel like I've seen like enough of some kind of counter narrative to this being the way that it's going to continue to be.
That is.
But this is a big deal.
Okay. That is kind of, because I remember last week after we wrapped filming, you said, like, it's a shame we didn't talk about Mamdani, and that kind of relates to what you just said about the Democrats and not being able to kind of do what they need to do during this Trump era. And I think that there's definitely some truth to that. Someone like Chuck Schumer has been just embarrassing, actually. The kind of stuff, I remember he was making a big hoopla about how he changed the name of the Big Beautiful Bill, which nobody even knows what that name is, by the way. Everyone just still calls it the Big Beautiful Bill. Like it literally was just the definition of like performative nothing, pretending that you're doing stuff. And I understand that like the Democrats are not in a position where they can do that much. They have no power basically. But when the Republicans are out of power, it doesn't feel like that, right? It feels like they're still doing stuff all the time. And why is it that Democrats can't? I do think that like someone like Mamdani is much. I mean, obviously he hasn't won yet, but I think he's going to be a type of figure that's going to be much better at doing that kind of thing, of like being able to. I mean, he's a national figure already. Like everyone has an opinion about him, whether they love him or hate him, and that's like Trump, right? Like, that's one thing that Trump is really good at, is just having attention. And I think that like, regardless of where your thoughts are on the, on like Mamdani's policies, he clearly understands what it means to be a politician in the 21st century, which means get attention. It's get attention and have people talk about you, and not in like a pay advertisement kind of way, but like in there's all these viral moments with him kind of way, and that it's better to kind of stand on your beliefs even if they're controversial, because that means you're fighting for something. If everything you're saying is safe and like tested, then that means you don't believe in anything, or it comes across that way, and then you're boring and forgettable. So, I wouldn't mind seeing, and I'm not a socialist myself. Not sure, the viewers of where your guys are at, but like, I may not be a socialist, but I would welcome more Mamdanis in the party, to be honest, because I think it's the kind of kick of energy that is needed.
I think that Mamdani is actually a great illustration of why I'm pessimistic, which is that the Democrats' response to something exciting was to do everything to prevent it. Everything. I think the most recent news item I heard about Mamdani was that what's his name, the mayor currently in New York,
Cuomo or
Cuomo.
Adams.
Oh, Cuomo. Sorry, that he's gonna run as a third party like candidate in New York. Like, it's just like that.
There's like two things, because you have to remember when Trump was on the scene in 2016, the entire Republican Party tried to stop him too, and they failed. And that kind of, I mean, yeah, there's like the Democratic Party has like a gerontocracy problem, where it's like all these old people who don't want to give up their seats. They feel like they earned it and they deserve to be in the positions they are because of seniority or whatever, and that like needs to be dispelled. And it was never going to be the case that like they just decided on their own for the best of the country to do that, clearly, right? Like, obviously, like, you kind of have to, they need to be pushed out. And so the fact that that's happening in front of our eyes, like, I don't think Cuomo's going to win. Like, it's great that he can run as a third party.
Oh, no, I think he's going to win.
I don't think Eric Adams is also running, by the way. So there's two kind of people vying for the conservative Democrat, and there's a Republican, by the way. So like that, all the lane of like we're conservative and he's going too far to the left, like they're splitting their own vote by doing that. Maybe they'll consolidate around one person, but I kind of doubt it, because like you're dealing with a lot of big egos on that side. And Mamdani just seems fresh and exciting, and like I just expect him to win. I think he will. I think it's going to be like an AOC situation where, the party did everything they could to stop her, and they just couldn't. And she's not quite as. Eventually, the Democratic Party kind of learned to play ball with her, because she kind of made them. Like, she was just too big, too popular to ignore, and like eventually you just have to just see this is where things are headed, and like, nothing you can do about it. And I can see that happening. I think I think Mamdani is also just a very charismatic person. He's very good on thinking on his feet. He gets asked hard questions a lot, and he usually comes up with pretty good answers to them in interviews and things, which is why he's as popular as he is. Whereas like someone like Cuomo is not that good at that. Actually, he's kind of relied on the fact that he has this like big name ID, and he's scandal ridden, just like Eric Adams is. So,
do you feel that? Do you feel maybe a little concerned that all of this energy seems like almost contained to New York? Like I'm talking about both AOC, Mondani. It's like it seems like things can happen in one place. It's not shown that elsewhere yet.
I actually don't know that it's all contained to New York. Like I would say someone like a Jasmine Crockett, and Jasmine Crockett, like she kind of gets lumped in with AOC a lot. But on policies, they're not similar. Like Jasmine Crockett is like kind of moderate politically, but she temperamentally, in terms of like how she's willing to take the fight to the Republicans and kind of be a firebrand, in that respect, she is really similar. And that's in Texas, right? And so like I think there's a version of this that can work all over the country. And it may not look like, oh, we're the DSA socialists everywhere. I actually would be kind of skeptical that could win, at least as of right now. But being able to show that, like, hey, we're not an 80-year-old person doing, the most means-tested message possible, talking about my 5-point plan to enact neoliberal reforms or whatever, is like probably not it. It's probably just not the way to go, and I think that the Democratic base is coming to realize that, and that there is even like the same old figures, like like a Pete Buttigieg, for example. I think he's changing his tact. Like he went on a bunch of he went on the Flagrant podcast recently, which is like not is the kind of stuff that Democrats should be doing, right? They should be going on like Joe Rogan and just talking to people, and again, not being scared of the fact that like maybe something controversial will be said in your show. Oh no, actually that's not even a bad thing, because then people are talking about you. Good. Right? Like don't just go on CNN and say the safest possible thing you can. It's just bad politics. So I'm cautiously optimistic. I think there's a lot of energy right now, a lot of anti-Trump energy, and I think that yes, that's the Democrats again with the leadership as is has kind of shown themselves to be ineffectual, but that at the end of the day, the Democratic Party is what the voters make it. And I think there's a shift among the Democratic voters. So I'm less looking at like what the leadership is doing, and more interested in like how are voters responding to things, and I think I'm liking what I've seen so far.
All right, fair enough.
But all right, that I think that's a good stopping point. We spent a good maybe like 20-30 minutes before this to try to get the audio just right, because I know it sounded like I've been whispering on the previous episodes. So please let me know in the comments if this sounds good. We would definitely like to continue doing these without the technical difficulties. Please let us know your thoughts. Also, what are your opinions on these topics? Is there anything that you'd like to see us talk about? Love to hear your thoughts. So until next time.
Gotta say, before you go, what you just said is going to come across as really funny if the audio is really bad.
And that's what happened last time, is I got this headset and I was like, oh, this is going to fix it. And then it was just as bad. But this time I got into the audio settings and did some test videos to really test it out. So I'm cautiously optimistic here. But we'll see.
All right. Well, we're bringing you the best we can.
All right. Till next time.